Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited about today's episode. So I had received an email from Nachi, and she had shared with me part of her creative process, part of her own personal spiritual journey, and I wanted to invite her onto this podcast to share part of that. And the other beautiful thing that popped forward is it actually ended up being a mini session for her. And it's so beautiful the way it came through because I'd gotten the nudge to have a session with her. And separately, I was getting a nudge to start hosting live sessions on my show. And so you're going to see more of these moving forward. If you are part of the Your Energy First app community, you are going to qualify every single month that we're going to do drawings, intentional drawings, to see who's going to get to have a free reading, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. And I just want to thank Nachi and everything else that came forward in this session for making it an extra special one. And also let my journey show you do not always have all of the information, that you follow the nudges and take a deep breath, and you trust yourself and you trust your alignment to the light and let the journey unfold. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am going to be speaking with an illustrator and graphic designer, one who is leading into her intuitive edge. I wouldn't even say leaning into it, probably encapsulating it, feeling it, being it. I have with me Nachi, and she is someone you reached out to me via email, and it really stood out to me. And when I was reading your email, I was actually taking a break on one of my meditative walks, and I saw it and I thought, and I immediately was like, I need to invite you to the podcast. And then I thought, this is crazy because we never met and I didn't know any of your backstory, but you included in your email a piece of artwork. And I think all of us can really feel into not just each other, but things, and especially those things which we create. And I love that because you create professionally for people, which I'm going to ask you about in a moment. And it's so interesting to me that I think we can all sort of feel into brands and art and things we're putting forward in this world. We always have, but I'm sure now more than ever. So we're going to talk about your process, your journey, and what that's looked like for you. So welcome, Nachi. It's so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So to get started, when did you first start, I guess, expressing yourself creatively as far back as you can remember?
Wow. As far back as I can remember, I think it was kindergarten. I remember we were having like art time, and I just remember this is my first memory. I remember I made like a little pond with ducks and lily pads, and yeah, that was my first memory. And I think it's because my teacher liked it so much that like they put it in the yearbook, and it was a big shock to me because I was just making something for fun. So that really stuck with me. And I think that's one of my core memories.
That's amazing. That's I genuinely have a memory from my own AM kindergarten where I was, the kids were playing with Elmer's glue, and I was like, oh, I can put my fingers together and the glue sticks. And if I wait long enough, it hardens. So your and mine, memories of art class in kindergarten were very, very different. And what about let's call it the spiritual side of you, the part of us that wants to go deeper within, develop our intuition, discover more of who we are? When do you feel like that really became a part of your, let's call it consciousness, proactive consciousness?
I don't know a particular age, but I was definitely young because my dad's always been spiritual. And, both of my parents, kind of half religious, half spiritual. My dad's side of the family has been like more in tune with those things. My dad is really sensitive. And so I think I kind of grew up hearing him talk about it. And I think I've always had some sort of faith, and that's changed over the years. Now I wouldn't call myself religious.
Can you think of an example of some of the ways, with lean on the aspect of your father, but the way that him exploring his spirituality helped support you in exploring it for yourself? Community is so amazing. Family and family support's incredible if we can get it on our spiritual journey. And at the same time, we will always at some point have to go deeply within, even with the support of our loved ones around us. So how was he? Can you think of an example of ways he was supportive? And part of what I'm thinking about too is we have a lot of parents that listen to this podcast who want to give their kids a more spiritually supportive, energetically supportive upbringing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think my dad mainly led by example, not so much teaching me about it. My dad's always been a little on the quieter side, and he doesn't really open up unless you ask him about it. And I'm kind of the same way, so I sometimes don't even know the right questions to ask. But he never really talked about it. And then I would ask him random questions. Like I would always ask him about like paranormal stories too, because he's really sensitive to that too. Mm-hmm. And something that really sticks with me is how his family has like a friend that's a medium, or I don't know if she's still alive, but they would go, like his entire family would go to her for guidance or for like any physical ailments. And so it always just felt like kind of normal. Yeah, I can't really remember having like conversations about it with my dad besides like just asking random questions here and there.
Well, and just the fact that he was even receptive to your questions, that's really powerful in and of itself, especially when it comes to, the masculine genre.
Yeah.
Just because they're not as encouraged to be nearly as sensitive as women are. I also love that from your exploration and your explanation, they went to go see a medium for, sounds like, all different types of energy work and support, not just communicating with people on the other side. And, that's one of the things I get really excited about as we all move forward in exploring our own processes. We're not just one thing. Like in our day-to-day lives, we cook for ourselves, we create, we have our jobs, we have our relationships. I mean, we're all a bunch of things, and that means with energy too. We don't just have to be one thing. Mm-hmm. So we get to be a lot of different things and explore at different points in our life. So yeah. So you have been working with a life coach. Is that the right term for her?
Yeah.
What has been some of the key guidance she's suggested that you have really taken to heart and has helped you really transform yourself?
The biggest one I would say is self-worth. That's been a huge topic. And also communication. Communication's a hard one for me. And that's the one we're focusing on mostly right now. But self-worth was the big one. Yeah, that's been really transformative.
You mentioned is your coach gave you this really cool tool to help yourself create space to create. Do you mind, on a daily basis, explaining what that is?
Sure. So she had me, when I'm getting ready to start my day, listen to a podcast, watch an episode of something, listen to music, anything that will get like my mind going. And then the exercise was to just write a little bit about what I heard and then make a quick doodle of whatever comes to mind. It didn't even have to like have anything to do with what I just listened to, like whatever it sparked up for me. And I had to do that every day. And then at the end of the week, I had to choose like one of the 5 illustrations and then or doodles, and then I would turn it into like a more fleshed out illustration. So that's what I did. I listened to one of your episodes about I think it was about the clear senses, and So I made an illustration of ancient Greek and Roman statue heads and like body parts. Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it, but
It's very cool.
you could.
If you're game, I'd love to share it.
Yeah, please do.
Media.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's gorgeous. I think because of the energy you put behind it and the using your intuition. Like to me, that energy just really shines bright in that, and it's a beautiful piece of art. So
Thank you.
yeah. So how do you feel like you feel or sense your intuition? I know it's kind of a tough one to put our finger on, right? Because it's so fascinating. But
yeah. Sometimes I feel like I just know things, and if I tell myself like, no, I'm just imagining that, like I will feel that in my gut. What I know that my ego is trying to get in the way and telling me like, no, it's just your imagination.
one of the things that's funny about our intuition is, we're all energy, and our auras operate outside of our physical body. I'm like holding up my hands around. And I think, like one of the things I'm perceiving right now is how information will just feel like it's just coming into our aura, and information is just landing in different places, different ways. And it's not just this one thing. It's not linear. And the more people I work with, I'm like, wow, everybody's intuition is so, so different. It is so utterly unique. I think the way we all practice it can have similarities, and we can share like best practices and stories with each other. But ultimately, it's like, okay, cool. I got the knowing too. I feel it differently and notice this, or it's pretty unique. It's pretty amazing. So, and I think it's obviously a lifelong journey. So when does it come through the most strongly for you? Is there any given time, or when you're doing something, or?
It's kind of random. Yeah, I haven't noticed a pattern, but
Yeah.
I am trying to be more aware of like when I do feel something. I'm trying to be aware of like what was I doing in that moment.
Cool.
Yeah, just because I don't know, I might, be doing something random like buttering my toast and it'll come in, and then the next day it might happen again. You could be doing something really random. Not that that's happened to me, but yeah.
But it's true though. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It will come at the most random times.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's almost like at the most inopportune times too. I'm like, wait, I can't take a note in the shower while I have this great piece of information.
Yeah. Yeah. I also really feel it a lot actually when I'm either waking up or falling asleep. And when I'm still kind of in like that half awake, half asleep state.
So in that liminal space, how would you describe like the energy comes to you differently in that space versus, when we're going about our day?
I hear like a voice, my higher self, my guides. I can't identify it, but they're always really like supportive.
The thoughts ever feel like home?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think, one of the things I'm noticing is how when we communicate with higher self, future self, past self, it's really it's all the same. And so it's but that comforting, homey feeling is that consistent, that, stability. Do you have any pets?
Mm-hmm.
Because they just popped into this conversation in a big, big way. And one of the things, I hope you don't mind that they're coming through.
No.
But one in particular, they're presenting themselves as like the smaller one, but maybe with more hair. So I don't know how that works, but, they're very excited, and it's like this, they're letting to let you know that they're available for you to, it's like, there's nothing else you need to do except to work with them to kind of get out of your head, to get into that place of the flow state, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
How does that resonate with you? That just came up out of like nowhere.
That's really funny. That really resonates. So, I have, I had, I just got a puppy a couple months ago. But before I had her, I actually lost my dog, my other dog in May.
Right.
And he was 11 and, I got him when he was a puppy. So I had him a whole 11 years. And the biggest thing that he taught me was to not take myself so seriously and to like get out of my way. And
Oh, that gives me chills.
yeah, and um yeah, that was like one of the biggest teachings that I got from like him being in my life is just like animals are just such a good example of living in authenticity because they're not trying to be anything else.
Yeah.
And so like Buster always just made me laugh, and he wasn't trying to make me laugh. And I don't know, I'm getting a little emotional, sorry. But
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's
yeah.
okay. All emotions are welcome. I mean, yeah. It's also just a really emotional time. I mean, it's winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, and you kind of touched on that. It's bringing up a lot of deep, deep things for a lot of people. So that cultivated with topics like for soulmate that have recently crossed over is a big one. A big one. Yeah. So is your puppy, you said puppy, I'm assuming they're not fully grown yet?
No, she's 5 months.
Okay. So maybe that's why she said I'm the little one more there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but her energy, it's like rocking and rolling, ready to go. I was about to say very solid for you, and the word that came through was brick, because there's this, they're like, bleh, it's like in your evolution. I hope you don't mind that we're doing this, by the way. Do you mind that this is?
No, not at all. I love talking about my dogs.
Okay. Yeah, this is definitely not planned. And I'm going to say your your spirit team and the sort of the collective for you, and of course your animals. But she's like, I am a brick house because one of the things you're worried about, which this is so understandable as pet owners, is that she's going to absorb. And so what she's letting you know is she's like, this is your evolution. I'm here for this next to support. She's like, we're ready to showcase. We're ready to showcase you. Like, that is the next part of your evolution. And she's just like, roar. It's the funniest, cutest darn thing. And does she like having her like, I don't know, like under the collar scritched or like on her neck and stuff? Because yeah, that was, I just immediately started doing that to myself. So and I don't really do that. So I mean, yeah, that's her. But yeah, she's like, oh, it's not even like a mini powerhouse, because she actually has a lot of the feminine energy in her, but that feminine power, that creatrix energy. And she's just like, time to shine. Like for the next decade, like we're here, we're ready to go. She's like, I want to see. Okay, I really don't know how you create your art, but she's like, I want to see scraps on the floor. I want to see like pens flying. It's like, get creative, let it be loose. Let it be like, she goes, for you right now in this next year, more is better. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, we can ask her or your guides, whatever, more questions around that. But more is better for you right now. You've got some like underpinning, underlayers. There's a lot more of you that wants to come out and create. And I think you've seen it. I think you maybe have seen it in dreams where the guides are saying like behind the trees. And so when these things, they go, it's counterproductive because we think like no bad, but actually these things are coming up for a reason and they need to be created and shared.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All of that really does resonate. Starting with her personality. Yeah.
Okay.
You got her personality right on. She's like, it's really funny. She's very feisty, but she also has like this very soft feminine side to her. But it's really encouraging to hear you say that she like wants to see pens flying and more work, more
creativity, and
more creating for the sake of just creating. Yeah.
Oh, it gives me huge chills. Yeah, and your guides are calling it like this unearthing too. This like because when you allow yourself to really go there, and the other thing, all of your pets are saying is the music doesn't bother them.
Good.
Okay.
Good. I sometimes play music in my car like really loud, and I take them with me everywhere, and I sometimes worry if it like bothers them. So
I'd worry about it too, but they honestly proactively said this. They're just like, we're here for it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's so sweet. So sweet.
I do want to say that I think I know what you mean when my guides are saying less or more, that I need to be doing more or not be doing more, but
right.
Yeah, that more is good for me right now. And it makes sense with like the energy that you're picking up from my dog Lola. That's her name. And like she wants to see more of me creating. And so I'm sitting at a brand new desk that I put in my room. That's actually dedicated for like making art and just making whatever. Like I literally put all my art supplies on here that I haven't touched, and I can't even remember how long. And my intention has been, it's really funny that you touched on it because I'm ready to make a mess here.
That's amazing.
So that's
amazing.
It gives me chills that
that's so cool
that you caught that.
The other thing, well, your guides and spirit team came forward with it very, very gently and beautifully. And the other thing that they're saying is even with the desk, you're holding back.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So what
that
means. Just, validation and permission just to, be all of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they say there is no right or wrong. It's all inspirational. Interesting.
That's encouraging because even with this desk, I still there are nights like at the end of the day, which is usually when I have like free time to do whatever I want, where I have chosen not to sit down here and like watch Netflix or do something else instead, because I am afraid of like what I might or might not create. Like I'm just afraid it's gonna suck. And so it's hard for me to like get in just that headspace of like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and it doesn't matter what I make. I'm just gonna make something.
Yeah.
So I definitely need to.
When you do that, it's like your energy is like a geyser. But you know how geysers are supported by Earth, and so it's always going to be, that source energy. The other thing, is the other pet a dog?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a little bit more, I'm going to say like cat-like tendencies? The word I'm getting is like jello-y. I don't know what that means exactly.
The only thing I can think of is he was a little bit on the heavier side. And I always called him like Garfield in dog form. So that makes sense.
Oh my God. Because I heard cat and I was like, but this doesn't look like what typical cat energy is. So that's totally funny. I'm calling him Garfield. Okay.
Yeah.
In dog form. So, what they're, he's a little bit more, I know you know this, his job's a little bit different, but, both of them are even saying like, show us when you're done, not like even when you're done in the beginning, mid process, when you feel like you're at the end, show us what you've made, show us what you've created. And on the one hand, I see you physically showing them, and then they're saying and energetically show us. Yeah. They just made the joke, show your fan base.
What do you think that they mean by show us energetically? I wouldn't know how to.
Yeah, let me ask them. Oh, interesting. They're saying, feel into how you feel about, let's call it the art piece, okay? Because I don't know what else to call it. And they say, and then tell us that that's how you feel about it in this present moment time with it. And then they're showing me, you showing them in 3 stages. Now, this is anytime spirit gives us suggestions like this, it's always suggestions. This is never like, oops, I didn't show them 3 times, therefore I failed. Just a suggestion. You may show them one piece of art 40 times, right? But they're saying sort of like, okay, I'm in the very beginning. It's like you've been working on it for 5 minutes and you're like, okay, I did something. Everybody look at it, and it's like, yay. And this is how you feel right now. Maybe you feel more than one thing. And what you do is you go within and you feel it. And then your intention is to share it with them for the highest good. And then they'll pick up on it. I realized the other day how hard I've been doing that with my second rescue I just adopted. And I'm like, oh, it's like you just kind of continue to feel into like, what's the intention? What do you want to share with them? And then that's what happens. So, and then they're so sweet. They're especially saying, they're like, we're here for your process. We're here for your process. So then whenever and they go and don't like, maybe you show them the same piece of art, but it's only been 30 minutes later, not 3 hours or something like that. You're like, and show them again. And just like, it's you taking a moment in your energy to pause, reflect. This is where I'm at. This is how I'm feeling. All feelings are welcome. Okay. And the Lola keeps showing me like you literally showing her. It's like, literally show me the art, please, mom. Or mama. I don't think she calls you mom. She calls you mama or mommy or something. She's got a different for you. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty sweet. And that's that.
I actually really love that because I get so in my head about creating art that I have been noticing recently, like, why don't I ask my guides more for like inspiration when I'm feeling like a creative block, or like I've never even thought about showing my art to Lola. So it's
Yeah, of course.
really expanding.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that is so cool. And when we ask our spirit guides for help on these things, it's not a cop out. We're using our resources. We're saying, hey, I know I have this, it's like we're stretching ourselves. We're saying I've got, podcasts and songs, and I've got my spirit team and spirit guides, and I've got, this, that, or the other. I've got my pets. It's like, I got my best friend who I'm telling that I'm showing my artwork to my pets to. It's like, we've got all the things. So, yeah. Let's see here. One other note I'll say from your spirit team is they're just saying, let your heart go wild. Let your heart go wild. And they say this is where the bravery kicks in and the willingness to go deep, and the song that's rocking out while you do it that can actually, the song can actually help hold the container for your energy too. Just be like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. And nobody asked us yet, except for Lola. Um, yeah. And, and because they're just saying some of the, let's call it artwork, feels too wild for you or feels too expressive or too personal, they say that's when you know you're right on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is another energetic trend that's happening with a lot of us is we're just really like unearthing this wild woman, unearthing this, um, dark feminine, not shadow feminine, but dark feminine. It's big. It's really, really big. And she's meant to be seen and heard and explored and emboldened and be empowered and not be canceled for it.
Mm-hmm.
So excited to see how that shows up. And thank you so, so much for doing this type of work too, truly. And, exploring your own energetic path and exploring your intuition and, reaching out. And it's the ripple effect in the world and it's so, so needed. So it is so, so needed. And sharing your story, I know, is going to help a lot of others see themselves a little bit more and also know, okay, there's other people out there that are, and myself too. Like I, said this in a podcast. I think it will have come out by the time this one comes out, but even I have been putting forth work, like stuff that I've created, different from holding space from someone. Holding space with someone, it's like all energy on 100% lockdown. But when I create things, I'm like, oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I used to just not put it out there. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put it out there at 86% and, believe that it's good enough. And, I'll have like spelling errors sometimes where I'm like, oops, I used past, present, and future tense in the same paragraph.
Wow.
And I'm like, people get the message. They get the vibe. So I'm right there with you on exploring this and going further. So, and I think it's what a lot of us are doing. And we're giving each other permission to just be more of ourselves. And when we're more of ourselves, we're freaking happier, way happier.
Absolutely.
And that's the goal. That's the goal. So, if people want to work with you and find your art, where can they find you?
I have a website you can find me on. It's nachieltit.com. NACHIELTIT, my first and last name.
Yeah.
And I also have an Instagram account that I don't post on very often, but you can still see my some of my work on there. I try to be on top of it, but I don't get around to it much.
That's a whole other topic right there.
Yeah.
Is there any other final pieces you want to share with people or, just kind of what, like a reflective moment you've had that you want to share with us in this journey of yours? I ask the deep questions around here.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable, really, that's just like, I think it's so hard for everybody but that's, I mean, like, I'm just so inspired by others' vulnerability that like it's becoming easier and easier to show mine. Yeah.
I love that. that was so much. Oh, thank you so much for showing up today, for sharing your story, your journey thus far. I have no doubt it's got many, many, many more ways to go and ventures to experience. And also thank you for being vulnerable and letting the energy session come through too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And that was something it's been percolating in my mind that I've been wanting to do live energy sessions with folks on like for the podcast or in some form. And I don't want to like put it upon anyone. So I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out how this is going to cultivate. And then who comes through but your sweet, sweet dogs. And they were the bridge that showed me maybe this is a good way to go. And thank you too for being open and receptive, because, I know when we energy sessions, you just get right to the crux of things.
Right.
Let's just go real deep, real quick.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm super open to that. So, thank you thank you. It's really exciting that you're wanting to do these live energy sessions.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And please give your pet some love from me.
I will.
All right. We will see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily.